Hi, welcome to this new tutorial. I will show you how to make one of these objects here that allows you to create different scenes inside the faces of these objects. And okay, so I will show you a bit how it works before we start. Okay, in this case I used version 2.93 that it's more stable with this with Cryptomatte, that is something that we are using to make the masks. So if you want to follow along, I recommend you to download 2.93 alpha. I will leave the link in the description. I will explain you a bit how this works, and then we will make a simpler version. Okay, if you don't know what render layers are, that allows you to render in layers different objects. I will explain you a bit how this works too. And we will also be seeing Cryptomatte. We can create a new view layer here. And on each view layer, you can select what is visible and what is not. And that's what you will have on the render for that layer. So in our case, we are using faces. And we have also, this is not automatic, we are creating a collection here that is called the same way as the render layer, just to be more organized. And we have the objects inside that collection that we want to appear when on that layer. Once we created that, you can select the collections that you don't want to appear and right click them, view layer, disable from view layer, and they won't show on that view. We also have some objects that are outside those collections, so they are visible on all or affect all of the view layers. Like the camera that needs to be on every layer. You can also have individual light setups for each of the layers inside the collections. I have my kid running around, so I hope it doesn't bother you, the noises and stuff, but it's like this, it's COVID time and everything is different. Okay, so if we change here to, for example, front view, you will see that we have a light, a scene, and all the objects that I want on the front scene are inside this collection. On the faces, what I did is to have different objects here, so I can target them on the Compositor later with the Cryptomatte that I will show you, and make masks. So this is the front object. It will be a mask that will only show what is behind this face. And since if we go to front, this is what we see on the front view. So if you are like here, it will mask just that part, and this is how we create this kind of magic cube. When we go to top view, we have this. We will have the mask for that view. So at this point we have a mask for the front that will show only the front, and a mask for the top that will only show the top, and so on. Let's see what happens. We have compositing here, and we have, these are the layers. You can select the layer that will use the, after the render here. This is the faces. And this one is using Cryptomatte, so we have these three outputs here. You use them, let me render here, just to, it will render one time for each of the layers, and then create the combined result that it's processing everything here. So we have, if we check what this render layer is showing, we have this is just the faces. So depending on the moment of the animation, we can select, we can use Cryptomatte node, plug this here, And then we can use the peak output on the viewer, and we can select, let me render a moment when we can see more faces. And here we can select the face we want, or the object we want in this case, because we are using the objects. And we select this button here and we just click on the object. In this case, the top face, just for a demonstration. And then we will have on the mate, we will have a mask that will mask this part. It's already selected here, so it doesn't matter if it's visible in other parts of the animation. It will always remember the ID, and as if there's any part of this object present, it will use it as a mask. What I did is just create one for each of the faces and use them as masks to mask my render layers. So this render layer is the front. It goes inside the group on the top. And we have a mix node that will use that image from the front with the mask from the front that will only show what is masked. Then that goes to another mix and another mask and so on, and generates the final cube here. Okay, I think that more or less explains how this is done, and now I will show you how to create one simple step-by-step. So if you are interested, let's get started. Okay, in this case, we will start. I'm using 2.93 because it's more stable with this, and I don't want to remake the tutorial 100 times because of the crashes. I will leave the link if you want to download it on the description. Let's start by removing this. We will do it on a plane. I will do the magic card thing. Okay, so let's go to top view and scale this on y-axis a bit to the size of more or less a card. Then we will Ctrl A, apply the scale, tab, and Ctrl Shift B to bevel. With the mouse wheel we will add a few more vertex there. That's fine. Select everything, E to inset. In this case, I won't use an ID for the object because I want to do it two-sided. And I will use the material to make the difference between the parts. Now I'll go to front view and E to extrude just a bit. That way we will have different faces to assign different materials. Then we can go here, normals, auto smooth, and right click, shade smooth. And we will create the first basic material here, new. Let's call this border. Border. White, that's fine. Let's create a new one here, and we will call this mask. And let's put a different color to be able to target it. And edit, and we will select 3 to change to face selection, and we will assign this material assign to this face. And on the back we can create a third material inside, new, and we call this I don't know, back. For now, just a color there, I don't know, black, more or less. Select this face, select the back material and assign. Okay, so we have a border material, the back material, and the material that we will use to mask our scene. Okay, first step done. I will change this name to card. I will move this to outside this collection. And this collection will be called card. Also this view layer. When I did this, I limited the scenes to the size of the cube to make it just like that, but you can make huge scenes or infinite scenes that are only visible through that face. Doesn't mean that you have to make it this size. So well, in this case, we will use just a monkey. Rotate on X 90 minus. Grab on C. And Ctrl 2, shade smooth. We have our monkey there. I will assign any material here, it doesn't matter. And here is where you can do whatever you want. You can create, I don't know, I will do something super simple because this is just a tutorial. I will extrude this. And select this face, remove this face. And maybe scale this down. I will select this. And Ctrl B. And that's about it. I will add another material here. Next step, we will select all the content that makes part of that scene and press M, new collection, and I will call this, I don't know, inside. That's inside the card. Since we are on the card render layer, I will select the inside and go to view layer, disable view layer from view layer. So when we are at the card, we don't see that. And then we can create a new one. We will call this inside too. And we will remove card from it. So we can render the content. Then we will switch back to card. That's where we are going to make the selections and the masks. So we go back there. We select this tab here. And we will activate, let me save this because we never know. And we will go to the Cryptomatte settings. And in this case, I don't want to separate by objects. I want to separate by materials here. So I will activate this. Go to the compositing, use nodes. We have these outputs that are there just because we activated that. And here we can, as you can see, we can select our render layer. First step, just do a render here. And we will add a node, Cryptomatte, like this here. Then add a viewer and plug the pick here. And then we can select with the add, we will select the material that is our mask, the green one. It will add the number here. And now we have in the mate, we have a mask. Now let's add another render layer node, but instead of card, we will choose inside here. So we have the content of that layer. Then we will use a mix node. We will plug on the white part, we want the content of the card. So that's the bottom input. And on the rest, we want the regular image that we have here. Then we can use this output here on this input that will make, and we use the mask as a factor. So we will have on the white part the content of the card, and on the rest the regular render layer. Plug that on the image viewer, and we have this result. If you place things outside of these two layers, or that are visible to both render layers, like the light, it will affect both, but you can, for example, in this case, we will adjust a bit light for the inside. So we'll leave this one for maybe for the card there. Let's see, yes. And we will add an area, for example. I will also make the shadows a bit softer. So if you want to animate this, you have two options. Parent everything to an empty and make it turn. But as this gets complex, like the cube, for example, it can be a bit too much. So I decided in my case to rotate the camera around instead. That means that you need light on both sides because the light won't be rotating, or that you can manage that as you want. You can make the lights rotate with the camera or whatever. But in this case, we will do it simpler. I will just duplicate this and move it on C, and we will have light on both sides. Then we will go to top view with 7 on the numpad, Ctrl-Alt-0 on the numpad to bring the camera here. Change this to, well, this is my decision, but you can do as you want. I will make this about there. I will also change the background. I will go to world here, duplicate this, mix shader, like this here, and light path is camera ray as a factor. You can then Ctrl-H this, and this will make that this is the background that affects the light, as you can see, and this one will affect just the background color. So you can do something like that, maybe. You can also add an HDRI or whatever you want. And now we will go back to layout. I will add an empty, parent this to the empty. Make sure the empty is the one that it's lighter orange. That means that's the active object. And Ctrl-P, object. Then just go to frame. Let's do this 100 frames animation. Okay, then go to item with the empty selected. In the transform, you can, we will be rotating in the Y, I think, yes. So insert single keyframe here, go to the last one, and put 360 there. Well, you can maybe do another animation, but insert a single keyframe there too, and so we have this. At this point, it's not a linear interpolation, so we select the empty again and go here, right click, interpolation mode, linear. So instead of slowing down at the end and the beginning, it's just a uniform speed that will loop the animation. Then you can just go to the inside view layer and place everything you want inside this collection, and that will make sure that all the content you add here will be seen only through our mask. Before you render, make sure you plug the one that is on the viewer to the composite. That's the image that will be rendered. Okay, so this is my result. The card, it's also free for all my patrons, and the cube for encourager and app. And you can also buy this product at my Gumroad and support this channel and my content, so I can create more of these tutorials. And I hope you liked it and create amazing things with it. I will love to see some of these creations. And thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.